What's going on, good people out there? It is the Bad Wolf, and the weather is warm. And by warm, I mean it's hot. I just turned the AC on today a couple minutes ago. Um, yeah, it's angry sun out there right now. I ain't gonna complain too much because I do have the AC to be able to turn on. But what I will say is that it's an old system, and so I think it's on its last legs. All right, so it's putting a little bit of cool sprinkle out there, but not a lot. But it'll get there if I leave it on. So, but my bill, oh man, I don't even want to know what that's going to be, but it is what it is. All right. So once again, I want to thank everybody out there for following, learning this information. This particular video is going to be about right to travel and the Supreme Court. And so we're going to break down some things in there. Even though at this point in time we have mastered all the steps, other than maybe one or two small ones when it comes to right to travel. So here's some little updates. So my nephew's wife is a retired police officer, right? I told you guys I had friends and family who are police officers, and she just kind of came into this information when she came for a visit with my nephew. And upon telling them, showing them the signs on the house and the vehicle I bought, first thing out of her mouth, and I already knew where she was going to go with this before she even said it, but I let her, speak her piece. She's like, "Are you a sovereign?" And I was, and my nephew before anything, he was like, "No." My nephew already had it covered. All right, apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? He was like, "No, there's no such thing as a sovereign cit legally." Unofficially, that's the term that they give. But see, they can't prosecute somebody underneath that because here's the problem: they would have to own and have something called a sovereign citizen as a status. And there's no such thing legally anywhere. It's not provided in law at all. You're either a citizen or you're not. That is it. So it's kind of funny because the very thing that they want to say that we are, by using that term, you're acknowledging that you are mixing the two right there by even using it. Okay. All they can say legally is that you are a citizen who's not abiding by the civil rules, okay, or the rules of their membership. And that's what it is. That's why they can't truly prosecute anybody on that, because if you own it, then it's yours to prosecute somebody on. If it belongs to somebody else, you can't prosecute somebody on outside of your jurisdiction. So you're either in or out. But see, for those people who think they're above the law or who want to do and use my information or whatever other things out there maliciously or whatever, we don't condone that. What we teach is constitutional law, and constitutional law is superior to all the other laws of the land other than God's law. So I went on to explain to her what's really going on and all that, and she was blown away. She's like, "I'm going to need to look at your channel." So I won't mention her name on here in case she doesn't want that out there, but to you, appreciate you. Also, keep in mind that my next door neighbor is a retired cop. So I didn't know that. I was already talking to him about all this stuff and whatever else. And he never once even brought it up. And I've had, due to some other things happening in the neighborhood, I've had some police over my house, in my house. I didn't even have to comply with them. They asked me, can you provide us with this or do this and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, come on inside. And they looked at the sign before they came in and they read it and they're like, "Are you private?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, okay." So to all those other cops out there, I've been contemplating if I should make a video specifically for you guys to really break down what's going on. And I know it might offend some of you guys. Some of y'all might get your feelings hurt, but it would be telling you guys what's really going on. Okay. I've never really sat down and did that. See, I really don't like, I don't like to, I don't want anybody feeling like they're being attacked. I don't want people to feel like they're dumb or they don't know what's all going on truly. But if you go to school, you're bound to learn, right? That's what a school's for. And all I can tell you is that riddle me this or diddle me this. No matter what job you've ever been in, do you think you know all the information? Do you think you know all the procedures, all the paperwork, all the things that you're doing on a daily basis? If you said yes, it means you have an emotional connection and your emotions make you feel like you know everything. So, you know how I know you don't know everything? Because you didn't create the company. You don't work in the legal department. You don't spend your time in life doing this like I do for over 40 years now, 20 of which have been in the public side. Well, actually, probably like 10. Yeah, 10 years on the public side. The rest of it, was all private, person to person, VIP, poor people, wealthy people, anybody who wanted to listen and operate and change their life. So, and there's other cops who contacted me and sheriffs and whatever else, and some have pretended to be clients and didn't want to tell me what they did. They just said, "Well, I work in the public." It's okay. You've got nothing to hide. The only people I don't like are trolls and other people who are in this particular niche who want to be against me or clap at me to. Well, I'm not 12. All right. I heard some of these people like, "Oh, this young dude." People, I'm almost 50. Okay. So I'm not a young cat. Thank you for the compliment, though. I'll take it all day. Um, but if you're a grown ass man and or whoever, or a full size boy, and you want to play little games that make you look and act and respond like the system of entertaining, look at me, man, and play all those games, and that's on you. I'm not here for that. This is education. I'm trying to wake minds and souls. I'm not here to play games with other people. I don't. If you play in the sandbox with dirty dogs, you're bound to get fleas. So you enjoy dancing for the king and the queen while we the people actually get some business done around here. I said what I said. So moving on. As always, guys, if you guys want more information, new files, we have a new free document page. Black Site 32 has a free document page #2. So go check it out. Thank you to people like Ramen out there who continue to support me monthly. Also, Troy, appreciate you as well. Means a lot. Thank you to all the other people who randomly or normally donate. Sometimes I see the name, sometimes I don't. To all the people on TikTok, wow, TikTok over there is showing the Bad Wolf some love. And even though over there I mostly talk about relationships and just events of the day, which I will be firing up on YouTube. So join me on my new channel. That's been around for a little while, but I haven't really actively made new videos, which is the Bad Wolf Media channel. Join me over there. Look over there. I'm gonna be wild. If somebody wants to swing on me over on that channel, I'm gonna swing right back. I'm gonna hurt your feelings or give you a blessing. Whatever it is, that's what it is over there. This channel is professional. This is about what this is, though sometimes I am a little bit more silly on here than some people like, but it is what it is. You got to have a little humor in this. Otherwise, this stuff will drive you crazy. And you need a little laughter in your life. Remember, when you laugh, okay, not only does it strengthen your face muscles, but it also releases endorphins, which helps you anti-age and stay healthy and to feel good. You have that good hum feeling inside of you. All right, so Black Site 32. If you need help with mortgage, rent, various food programs, those are on my resource pages. Go and check those out. Consultations, court case consultations, merchandise, uh, donations. I have a donation page. All that it's on there. All right. Other than that, guys, lastly, do not fall for anybody, whether it's either in my Telegram group or whatever groups, my Facebook group. For somebody pretending to be me, I will never ask you guys for money in those places. It's always going to be Black Site 32 and only the specific exact spelling of my names on there. Some people like to change the S to a Z or put a space in there and those and whatever it is, and it's not actually me. If they're asking you for money directly, man, invest in me and do this. It's not me. It straight out, 100% not me. And I'm not responsible for anybody who falls victim for those things. It's just crazy that some of y'all are donating more money to these scam artists than you're donating to me. Don't do that. If you're gonna donate, go right to my page. All right. I'm not hard to find. I ain't hid nothing. I ain't hid my name. I ain't hid, none of that. All right. So other than that, lastly, before we get into the video and whatnot, as always, guys, be careful when doing any of these processes, especially ones that involve you trying to get a lot of money from the government or from the state. I highly recommend not to do that. Study the things before doing anything, validate it, take your time. Okay, yeah, I recommend just getting your status and standing correct and doing some discharge, your passport. But other than that, you don't have to do any process. Not one of mine, not one of anybody else's. All right. And here's the difference between me and a lot of other people out there. I live this life. All right. I'm not just buying other people's materials and regurgitating it. I'm not trying to lead you down the path of worship my false idol god and do this and I'm the god and blah 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 blah. No, this is just direct information. All right. So you know what? Whatever. That's it. Anything else we missed? You guys know it. You've seen other videos. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit that bell, like, subscribe. With that, let's get going. All right, so this particular video starts off because, as some of you guys know, there's my sweet pea. See what she's doing today. Oh, nice. This was brought to me by a person we will refer to as Rick. And I get tips, tricks, techniques, and whatever else from various people from many different industries. Once again, nothing considered above top secret or anything that's going to get you in trouble because I don't do that. But if you guys have methods and forms, and then I've even heard recently that there's postal people have been watching it and they're like, I wouldn't do any of those things and blah blah blah. Well, okay, then don't do it. You don't have to. That's the best part about America is that in America we've got the Constitution. The Constitution says you don't have to listen to anybody if you don't want to, if you're not hurting anybody. So don't do any things. But when I made mention of those forms that you guys have that most of you guys didn't even know were there, that the managers did corroborate, what's up? Where we at? See, once again, people feel some type of way and they think that they have a, well, I've been here for 20 years. How many people in the DMV and in the post office have said stuff like that only for me to prove them wrong? A lot. Why? Who do you think I get this information from? Do you think I just sneak in as an employee of the post office, the DMV, the police station, whatever else? It's your managers, the people above them who are real Americans. They're the ones who want this information out. They can't do it. It's a conflict of interest. They can lose their job. I'm not going to lose my job. This is my job. This is my career at this point. So they give me, hey, this form does this. This file can do that. But see, you don't know because they're not going to sit down and figure out which employee they can talk to about this. The stuff I get is not from the low level employee. I don't even deal with the low. I don't even deal with the low level functionaries. No offense, maybe a little to some of y'all. I can't deal with somebody who's just a person over the counter because you don't know any of this, and your manager won't tell you any of this. But some of those managers tell me this. So I've been doing this for 40 years. Some of them know me personally. The passport stuff. Some of that I got from the person who's now retired, who was a postal worker, who was an acceptance agent at the location I was going to for over 20 years, still going there. They don't teach you constitutional law, people. They don't teach you private law, people. They don't teach you contract law, people. They don't teach you foreign law, people. Police officers, they don't teach you any of that. They don't teach you anything about what a national is. Oh, this is anybody who's not a U.S. citizen. Okay, so if you're not a U.S. citizen and you're a national of either this country or another country, that falls underneath the same thing. I've been bringing out you guys this. What do you think? It's fun. I mean, yeah, I kind of do enjoy some of this. I'll have to be honest, but yeah, sometimes this does attract attention that I would prefer not to have from various people out there. Okay, everybody can watch this. What you think is just only? Come on now. Do you think that these various agencies don't watch these videos? They've used it sometimes to try to hide it, rewrite it, change it. Some have positively updated things. High five to the good parts of the Department of State who watched the videos and updated the passport correctly. And the various files are coming out now that a lot of people are like, Wolf, they added national on their documents. It was never on there before. Yeah. Because by law, they're supposed to have that on there. They can't force you to just acknowledge the term U.S. citizen. Now, the term citizen of the United States has all of these factors underneath it. All of the statuses, all the standings fall underneath the guise of citizens of the United States. But a U.S. citizen specifically is something different. And you were born first as a national. You're born in Florida, you're a Floridian. New York, New York, California, Californian. Illinois, Wisconsin, Wisconsinite. Illinois. Nebraska, I think it's Nebraskan, on and so forth. GPO Styles Manual, Section 5.23, in designating the natives of the several states. The term several states means the continental United States of America, not the corporate United States. Those are two separate things legally. Only the legal department understands what I'm saying. That's why no one's been able to disprove all the stuff that I show in their books. It's not me sitting here going, I'm just going to come up with something. It's in their books. I buy their books and I read it to you guys. Because that's what the legal department does, because the legal department has books like this. And what I teach you guys is called legal style, which means how are things put together? What does that word mean on a quantum level of its legality? I could be thousands of dollars richer if I wouldn't have bought all these books and the sea of books on my floor right now. You're right. Let's get back to it. So, all right. So this email was from this person who we will call Rick. Rick goes, I know you're swamps. That's how he starts off. Right to business. No, how's your day? Hopefully, how's your vacation? And thank you to those people who have reached out and asked me those things. How are you doing? How's the family? This and that. I appreciate it. But anyway, I appreciate you too, Rick, because you're like me. Let's just get down to it. So, I know you're swamped, and you probably are still answering a ton of emails, and I just wanted to run this past you. If you want to talk about trust, I have my own, and all of my vehicles and properties are in it, but no one knows who the trustees are because that part's kept private. Now, here's one thing I will say in reading this. I would have separate trusts for my vehicles and my property. Maybe, well, I do have two vehicles in one trust, but really I should have one trust per vehicle and one for the house and property and assets, all separate. Why? Because like the military, you compartmentalize. All right. Even though your trusts are private, they can, in some cases, be penetrated. Almost not. It's like 99% impossible, but they're not, it's not impossible. And if one is attacked and you do damage while operating that vehicle underneath that trust and they get the name of the trust and they sue it, if they can find it, then anything in that trust could be deemed to be turned over or liquidated for the damage you've done. Okay. But anyway, let's go on. And blah, blah, blah. I haven't had my license in almost 30 years, so he's got me beat. I have not done it this long. Okay. I wish I would have known him 30 years ago and then I would have done it. But yeah, apparently this guy's been on it. So, well, job well done. I let it expire way back in this date. Okay. Cops got to have RAS. So, what he's talking about, RAS, for those who don't speak cop, all right, RAS stands for reasonable articulable suspicion that you've committed a crime or you're in the act thereof. Otherwise, other than that, they actually have no legal right to even run your plate or to pull you over. Period. They need to be able to say, there's so much, look, this was so obvious that they did something, or I got the description, here it is in my computer, and that's why I pulled you over and did this. If not, like even for a blinker or whatever else, those are supposed to be courtesies. Hey, your blinker's out, and then they leave you alone. But what do? They do what's known as escalating the stop. Okay, these are violations if you know how to stand on them. So he goes, they have to have RAS even to stop. So even the fact that he says RAS would either lead me to believe that he was a cop And actually, oh, by the way, there is a cop who contacted me who's now doing right to travel. So well done, sir. Well done, good sir. I tip my hat to you. Um, or he just does a lot of research, which I think he does. So, but if I had to, because don't think some of those people in the agencies, whatever else, don't contact me to ask what it is. Okay, here it is. Now that you've learned it, do something with it. Stand up for our rights. Help us out. Man, I must be tired. My eyes look tired. Well, I guess I just get up about an hour ago, so it's all good. So anyway, let's go. Chop chop. So Wolf. So the car, even to stop a car, American Jurisprudence 2D, Volume 16A, Constitutional Law 577. So what he's talking about here are these books. Well, I don't have all of them because they're frightfully expensive, and I could use some more donations. These books right here are American Jurisprudence. I only have some of them. And I'm not going to mention any names to somebody out there who's like, oh, he's talking about Googling things and looking on the internet. Because there's still stuff to find out there, you Martian mud monkey. All right, you know who you are. I use whatever resource I can. But in this case, American jurisprudence books are the constitutional law. That's where you should really be getting and standing on your things because then it's locked in and they can't just, well, they can eventually change them, but it's locked in versus on the internet it can be confuddled, we'll just say. All right, so rights in public vehicles and spaces. He goes, the name is a bit of a misnomer. See the snippet below. Read from the excerpt halfway down. I don't think I've seen that in any of your videos, and I keep a close eye on them. All right. Well, I appreciate you, Rick. You do have a ton of good info, just not much on right to travel. Not so much the laws behind them, though I did make a couple of videos where I did read the Supreme Court cases, which are called opinions on them. But yet once again, it's impossible to cover everything, which is why when somebody brings something to my attention and they've already vetted it like he has, I will do a video on it because the proof is in the pudding. And this is what I like to do. So, but yeah, you're right. I do have right to travel on how to fix your vehicle right, but not what supports it on the constitutional level, other than the court case opinions that I read in the I forgot which video it was, but anyway. Uh so right there in their own law encyclopedia, it says driving is a fundamental constitutional right. It only changes once we are on or in the public vehicle. Okay. So I'm going to read this excerpt and then we'll go into other things that we've come across. So section 577, rights in public vehicles and places. Under the constitutional guarantee of liberty, one may, under normal conditions, move at his or her own inclination along the public highways or in public places. And notice it didn't say in the private places. And while conducting himself in an orderly and decent manner, which means you are not above the law, passport, card, book, none of that says you can speed. Okay. And because that's endangering public safety. And then they will take you down. And they should, because I don't want you guys hurting yourselves, hurting me or my loved ones, because then we're gonna have a problem. All right. So it goes on to say, neither interfering nor disturbing another's rights, one will be protected. So the Constitution will protect you, not only in his or her person, okay, meaning in the true you, but in his or her safe conduct. For example, the right of a citizen to drive, I wouldn't use the word drive, but this was done a long time ago. That's what they call it. Should be right to travel, but let's go on. To drive on public streets with the freedom from police interference. The right of the citizen to drive on the public street with freedom from police interference. Uncriminality is a fundamental constitutional right. However, the liberty of each individual in a public vehicle or public place is subject to reasonable limitations in relation to his rights or in relation to the rights of others. It's a really faded little excerpt I'm reading. He must have scanned it, or it's a kind of a faded copy, so that's why. I can read better than that. I promise you. Statutes and or other ordinances relating to loitering, arrest for vagrancy, breach of peace, or disorderly in public places, challenge on due process. That's what we're getting to. Okay. And then it's got some court cases here, which it's the writing's even smaller. I can't read that. Anyway, so he goes on to say a traffic infraction is strictly a civil matter and doesn't arise to the level of a crime. Okay. So your normal tickets are just infractions of the police department, which is listed as a for-profit, but basically a governmental entity, which is not American, but U.S. corporation. It's corporate, and that is different than the United States of America. Those two things are separate. So legitimately, it could be construed that they are international and foreign. Okay. Um, since it's a civil situation with a ticket, a person can be summoned with a bill of attainder. Okay, so they're trying to form joinder, which would be a traffic ticket itself, which is actually illegal as Congress has outlawed bills of attainder. Told you guys. Unless a person is driving recklessly and endangering public safety, they have no reason to stop you other than if a light is out or a plate. Now, even though they're not supposed to do it, they will call that a courtesy. They're looking out for your well-being. Want to make sure you know that your blinker's not working or your front lights out. There, but see, here's the difference. When you have their plate on, especially, you're giving them permission to interact with you. So they're doing you a courtesy. Oh, but also because you have a driver's license, your car's registered to them, paying your stuff, and you have to abide by their rules. And if you violate their rules, then they can give you a ticket. So that's why they pull you in with those contracts is to make money. That's all they're really there for. It's for making profit. All right. But they also do stop a lot of crimes and some things that happen as they come across them while making money. That's the job as a public trustee. All right. Oh, he goes, you have a brake light out, or you failed to use a turn signal, and that's the reason to stop you, which is total BS. I did somebody's rights get violated? Was any property damage? Hell no. No victim, no damage. Thus, it's not a crime. This part's true. My rant is done. Bless you and stay in touch. Stay in touch, man. I got a few right to travel nuggets of truth. I do like the DOT plate idea a lot that you spoke about recently. Later, Rick. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate you. I know it's been a while since I think I just responded back. I'll say thank you again, just to update him. Just made the video. Well, technically, I'm making it right now. All right. Um, I get emails and things just all day. Remember, guys, if you guys want me to answer questions, it's at my leisure. I know I used to do them all the time for everybody. Now, if you take a chance and ask me a question, I may or may not get to it. I can use that time a lot of other places, and without getting any kind of compensation for it, then like I said, for years I've done it for free, thousands, hundreds of thousands of emails. Okay, I was getting 200 to 250 a day. Well, 100 to 250 a day, we'll say. So if you guys do have questions, watch the videos first, or else you can go to Black Site 32 and pay the $25. I think it's for 3 or 4 questions, and then I'll get to it. Otherwise, in general, if you don't want to pay the fee, you can take a shot. I may or may not get to it, but don't feel bad if I don't. I get people every day, same people in persons or new people. It's just too much. I would prefer to read books and relax, spend time with the family, and make videos at my leisure, answer a lot of questions. But if you really have a set of questions and things you want to do, then pay for a consultation. As always, keep in mind that I'm probably almost always booked 2 weeks out. And then look out for holidays and then come some more emails. Um, It just is what it is. All right. So I'm going to be doing some more lives, I think next week, Monday or Sunday. Um, and then I'm going to be doing some seminars, some more seminars. I think we're about ready to make the videos to put out for people to learn some more things. And that's about it. Okay, anyway, let's get to it. Let's get to it. Sorry, a little tired. Just woke up. Haven't ate my breakfast yet. It's probably why I'm a little like blah, 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 blah. And also I better get back to my lady before she's like, how come you didn't respond back to me? All right. So the first video, so we got, well, not video, the first thing we covered was the email that was sent. Then I'm just going to throw in here because I want people to get this too, is denial of rights as a national. You see this? They do not have the right to deny you as a national. Remember, the term national means the same thing as state citizen, as national of the United States, as U.S. national, as non-resident, as foreign national, private sector citizen. Code 8 U.S.C. 1503. If a person within the United States claims a right or privilege as a national of the United States, but is denied by any department, independent agency, they can take legal action. Boom. Now, check this out. Application for a certificate of identity. If a person outside of the United States claims U.S. nationality and is denied by a department or agency, all they said was claims. They can apply for a certificate of identity. This certificate allows them to travel to a U.S. port of entry and seek admission. Okay. Just want to throw that in there. All right. Now let's get to the all right. So let's back up. So, in talking about right to travel and the information that, Rick just gave us, this pops up. Under this conditional guarantee, one may therefore, under normal conditions, travel, love the word, travail, at his inclination along the public highways or public places while conducting himself in an orderly and decent manner, not neither interfering nor disturbing or disrupting another person's rights. He will be protected. This right here, look, Supreme Court of the United States.gov. They have a PDF right here, right to travel, Supreme Court. What is section 329 of the 11th American Jurisprudence? Okay. Personal liberty largely consists of the right of locomotion. This doesn't mean this just means traveling or moving. It doesn't mean a train. You have the right to move in a vehicle. This is what this is. This is why they're not saying drive. To go where and when one pleases. I want to check this out here early or later. Authority to stop motorists to see operators. We're going to look at that, not here. Okay. So let's jump into what they have here. So in the Supreme Court of the United States, John Dalen versus the state. So he went after the state. And this was filed in February 24th, 2002. So this ain't old, peoples. Somebody's been watching the Wolf's materials. And here they said he's appearing pro per. See, when they tell you guys, oh, you're pro se, you're pro se, they want you to admit pro se because that way you're saying I can be held to the same level as a lawyer and I'm basically one of you guys without being one of you. No, I prefer sui juris, but pro per means in one's own person, the real you. So, John, whether he got any of this information from me or not, may not have, may have, maybe a little bit of both. Good job. That's okay. So from here on out, guys, this is going to be a little bit longer of a video because I'm going to read you guys, or I'm going to have the AI read all of this. Motion and pleadings that arise from federal issues, motion to dismiss, lack of jurisdiction, motion to reconsider, motion for findings and facts. He won this case. This is what I tell you guys when you can go to federal court and you can use case law. Case law, it's already been established. We have this right. Police officers, sheriffs, guys, we have this right. As long as the person isn't doing anything illegal or criminal or endangering public safety. All right, so let's, I think I can. I was hoping it would just read it, but apparently I have to highlight it first in this particular document. And let's get going.
Petitioner was stopped at a South Carolina state checkpoint and asked to produce a driver's license. Petitioner informed the officer that he had not committed any crime and asked if he was free to go, at which point the officer informed the petitioner that he would be arrested if he did not produce a driver's license. Petitioner was subsequently...
Now, mind you, until we go further, I don't know the background. Did he have his vehicle in a private trust, private foreign trust? Did he have his own homemade ID? Did he, so far I can't say that, it just sounds like he was stopped at a checkpoint, which checkpoints are unconstitutional unless they're in the process of looking for a criminal. We also don't know if he updated the DMV with his information that he's operating his vehicle privately. We don't know any of those things. So we're just going to go on. So I can't say I can condone without knowing all the ins and outs, whether he did everything right or not. But let's keep going.
Subsequently issued a citation for driving without a license, and then he was released. C. Buchanan versus Worley, 245 U.S. 60. 3. Connolly versus Union Sewer Pipe Company, 184 U.S. 540, Miller v. U.S. 230 F.2d 486, 489, Miranda versus Arizona, 384 U.S. 436, 491, 16 a.m. Jure, 2D, Sector 70. U.S. Constitution 4th Amendment. At the trial court, the petitioner repeatedly asserted his rights, saying he was not a driver, and that the officer in question had falsely arrested him, and the officer had threatened to seize petitioner's property, a 1989 Chevy van. Petitioner challenged the trial court's jurisdiction, and the court, after failing to prove jurisdiction, proceeded to trial anyway, which resulted in a criminal conviction for the petitioner. Also at trial, petitioner informed the magistrate that the driver's license law required.
So here they're talking about, okay, so the fact that they were able to get his name and information tells me that he complied at least with giving them the name. Okay, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm just saying from things I know, this is what it sounds like. They may have just utilized his old driving information by possibly getting his VIN number. Now, one of the things I've seen is that for those people who are operating privately and right to travel, U.S. citizens cannot cover or hide their VIN. A private traveler can. What I would suggest is that you have something that's removable, but while your vehicle is parked, if you choose to, cover your VIN, and then at a time of a stop, if requested and you desire to do so, unless you've committed a crime, then you absolutely have to, you can protect that number, or you can allow the officer to verify the number and to run it to ensure everything is in good standing. I've seen on some new videos where people are getting the VIN number off your vehicle in the window and then using an electronic device to then make a digital key and to steal your car right on the spot. So I will be obtaining another plaque to cover my VIN. Okay, let's keep going.
Required an applicant to produce a social security card as part of required identification.
Woo, 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 woo. You do not ever have to give or show a police officer a social security card. That is for accessing your trust. The social security card said that only government officials can even begin to request that. You are not getting my social. I do not know you. I do not care if you're wearing a badge. I am not going to produce my social security card or any of that information ever. I don't know what you're going to do with that. I don't know who you know. I don't know. There's people in the police force, per the FBI report, that work for the KKK. There's people out there who work for the mob. There's people out there who became police officers so that they can get away with stuff. And then there's just some downright dirty police officers out there. Fortunately, there's more good than bad. But if the good ones don't report the bad ones to internal affairs, how many bad ones then do you really actually have? But let's go on.
Identification in order to obtain a driver's license. Petitioner told the magistrate that he had in fact rescinded his social security number years ago and did not have such a card. The federal law does not require anyone to obtain a social security number unless applying for benefits.
Whoa, did you hear that? Remember, if you accept the benefits, they can consider you in the moment of showing said identification, ID for identification document. The DOC stands for Declaration of Conformity. You are conforming to being a federal citizen. Let's go on.
Benefits. The petitioner informed the court that he does not wish to get any benefits from the government and objected to the number on religious grounds, and therefore could not apply for a social security card. C. Boyd v. United States, 116 U.S. 616, Byers v. U.S., 273 U.S. 28, 32, Chicago Motor Coach vs. Chicago, 169 NE 22, Hale vs. Henkel, 201 U.S. 43, Sherbert v. Werner, 374 U.S. 398, Stevenson vs. Binford, 287 U.S. 251, IIAM. Jure. First, Constitutional Law, Sector 329, 16 AM. Jure. 2D Sector 260, and the U.S. Constitution 4th Amendment. 4. On appeal, petitioner reasserted his rights and informed the court that the U.S. Supreme Court had repeatedly ruled that the state cannot convert a right into a privilege, issue a license and charge a fee for the exercise thereof. C. South Carolina Code of Laws, Title 56, Chapter 1, Motor Vehicles Secretary January 20, 56. This motor vehicles statute clearly states that it is granting a privilege. Petitioner believes that this statute, as well as any other licensing statute, can only apply to fictional or corporate entities if it is to be constitutional, and therefore, as it was applied to the petitioner who is a living, breathing being, and who had no contracts with the state that would show otherwise, this statute is blatantly unconstitutional. The appellate court dismissed all of the petitioner's arguments and affirmed the trial court's conviction. Petitioner was thus denied due process of law. Common law requires that a criminal conviction must have an injured party and/or involve damage to persons or property. The state, as a fictional creation, cannot be the victim.
Facts.
There was no victim in this case and there was no property damage, therefore there cannot be a crime under common law. The petitioner was merely exercising a constitutionally protected right that the state, through its motor vehicle statute, has converted into a privilege and attempted to issue a license, charge a fee, and criminalize the exercise of a constitutionally protected right for non-compliance with the statute.
Y'all hearing this?
Petitioner believes this statute is blatantly unconstitutional, and he is relying on previous U.S. Supreme Court decisions.
Which means that is case law that they will look at in federal court or Supreme Court, obviously, not so much on the state side. That's why he didn't win on the state side, because they're all buddy-buddy. It's all in-house corporation. They run their own government. However, they do it with the sanction of the federal government. They have an EIN. They have it done in Bradstreet. They're a for-profit corporation listed as a governmental agency, so they can govern. But because they applied for that, they are not all powerful. They are subservient if you choose not to be party to what they're doing. Because you were born as a Native American, a national, a state citizen, a private sector citizen, a non-resident. First and foremost, that is your birthright, people. Hey, you two in the back of the class, wake up, pay attention. So when you take them, so no matter what they do and say to you on the court, state level, if you know they've deprived you of your rights, you sue them in federal court and you win. You're probably not going to get into the Supreme Court. They only take new cases and updates to old ones. So the federal court takes all the runoff.
Decisions. These decisions are itemized in the table of 5. Contents for this document with a line describing the decision of the court underneath the title of the case, and listed as follows: Hale vs. Henkel, 201 U.S. 43, Hurtado vs. California, 110 U.S. 516, Marbury vs. Madison, 5 U.S. 137, Miller v. U.S. 230 F.2d 486, 489, Miranda vs. Arizona, 384 U.S. 436, 491, Murdoch v. Pennsylvania, 319 U.S. 105, Sherbert vs. Werner, 374 U.S. 398, Shuttlesworth v. Birmingham, Alabama, 373 U.S. 262, Simmons v. 6. United States Supreme Court to review the practices of the state of South Carolina pertaining to egregious and widespread overstepping of the state's authority in violation of constitutional
Overstepping.
principles that not only affect South Carolina.
Now, see, it's funny because I mean, like I said, I don't know the guy who put this all together, but the fact that it said overstepping, like that's my key word in my video, man. Anytime I hear someone say that, I'm like, yep, probably will. So he was probably watching my videos and learned and went after these people. But there have been people who have been doing this way before me. I'm not the first. I mean, I know off the top of my head, Jackie Fig, God rest her soul, was a pioneer in this. Her videos are on Black Side 32, as a memorial to her. So thank you for showing us what we didn't see. All I'm doing is doing it in the here and now. So let's keep going.
Carolina residents, but all residents of these United States. The United States is currently facing a constitutional crisis wherein local, state and federal governments are overreaching the bounds of the Constitution and the courts are sitting on their hands while the Republic is failing. Petitioner believes the Supreme Court could use this case and others like it to right the ship off state by providing guidance and reasserting the constitutional limits of government. Reasons for granting the writ. The U.S. Supreme Court needs to grant this petition because the state of South Carolina, through its rulemaking and enforcement bodies, has been and continues to be engaged in the usurpation of constitutionally protected rights under color of law. Petitioner also believes that, under the guise of regulation and using simulated legal process, the state has used terms of art or words of art and other legalese to deceive and prosecute John Dallin and other individuals similarly situated under statutes that violate every citizen's inalienable rights that are protected by the United States Constitution.
It only violates your rights if you are attempting to not have their benefits, licenses, or privileges. If you are doing things privately in the appropriate way across the board, then your rights are being violated. If you're enjoying the privilege, the benefit, or the license, then you are subject to, and the court will not protect you. You cannot enjoy their privileges and benefits and then complain about it unless somewhere in there they knowingly or inadvertently violated your constitutional rights, and you know that, and then you make them aware of it, and they still do nothing. That's when you go after them.
Constitution. Petitioner is about to herein present two personal examples of the state's conversion of a right into a privilege, and one wherein the right to a jury trial. T. 7. Was denied to petitioner on statutory grounds, violating the constitutional rights of the petitioner under color of law. The state of South Carolina has enacted a Building and Professions Code which deceptively attempts to deceive citizens into waiving their right to engage in businesses and professions, purporting to require anyone engaged in the businesses and professions to obtain a license and pay a fee. However, hidden in the statute, the state acknowledges that the people have a right to engage in businesses and professions. The U.S. Supreme Court has confirmed this right in several off-tier rulings. The petitioner was charged with failing to procure a license for the activities he was engaged in. He informed the commission that he was engaging in the businesses and professions by right and did not have a license and did not intend to get a license. He also informed the commission that their very own statute confirms that the commission only has jurisdiction over licensed individuals. The commission held a hearing in petitioner's
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? They only have jurisdiction over the public and licensed public things, but they can gain jurisdiction over you if you are utilizing their benefits, services, privileges, or licenses. All right, let's go on. Notice how they didn't say the private. They administer over the public and anything registered to them.
Absence, and fined him $500. Petitioner refused to participate in their hearing, citing lack of jurisdiction, and informed the commission that he would ignore their fines. The city government of Clemson, South Carolina, claiming the authority of the state to enact business licensing, ticketed petitioner for working without a license. He did not participate in their trial and was convicted. Petitioner had previously corresponded with the city prosecutor and the magistrate judges, informing them that their ordinance clearly stated that it was a privileged tax and since. Asterisk. 8. He was exercising a constitutionally protected right, he was not subject to the ordinance. The municipal court ignored the constitutional challenges and held a trial over petitioner's objections. He appealed the conviction, and when the city attorney failed to appear for the hearing, the circuit court judge overturned the conviction and dismissed the case.
So now, once again, because did you hear how they said the city? City, citus, non-living thing. And they don't have to go by constitutional law. They are supposed to at least recognize it. But 99% of their daily business is internal, which is considered private, but it's called the public. So he did get it overturned, but this really should have been filed, like obviously he did, in either federal court or Supreme Court at this point in time.
City attorney replaced the former and proceeded to retry the case again over petitioner's objections and held a new trial on the same case that had already been dismissed. Petitioner refused to participate in what he considered to be a sham trial.
Now, he shouldn't be able to be tried twice on the same thing, but see, that's why you want to have without prejudice. This should be closed without prejudice, meaning not to be retried again. What's done here is done.
Trial and was subsequently convicted and fined $500. Petitioner informed the municipal court that any attempt to issue a bench warrant for his arrest or otherwise attempt to collect a fine would result in a Title 42, Section 1983 lawsuit for deprivation of rights under color of law. Petitioner also attempted to enlist the aid of our state's Attorney General, Alan Wilson, but was informed that it was not the job of an Attorney General to protect a citizen's rights, it was his job to protect the state, and that he only issued opinions that were requested by state agents or agencies. Petitioner also had a case involving the foreclosure of his home wherein his right to a trial by jury was denied on statutory grounds. Petitioner believes this was unconstitutional and took the case to the South Carolina Appeals Court and to the state Supreme Court, where petitioner's arguments were denied. He *9 then appealed this to the United States Supreme Court, where certiorari was denied. All of the above constitute egregious injuries to the petitioner and violations of protections under the Constitution and the common law which he is supposed to enjoy as a free American. All of the petitioner's cited cases clearly show violations of the Constitution and the common law according to the many Supreme Court decisions relied upon as listed in the table of cases in this document.
See, he should have filed this in the federal district court, now the Supreme Court. Supreme Court's going to say, well, we've already ruled on this. It's a done deal. We're not going to re-rule on this. We've already done it. So that's might have been where he messed up. Should have been done in the federal court. All right.
Document
Hey,
There is no gray area here. This is basic law. Petitioner is exercising inalienable constitutionally protected rights. Petitioner is not a creature of the state. Petitioner does not exercise privileges, but rights. The statutes under which petitioner has been prosecuted are applicable to corporations or other fictional entities that do in fact engage in privileges. C. Hale v. Henkel, 201 U.S. 43. Former Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia lamented that the Supreme Court no longer follows constitutional law, but rules strictly on statutory laws. A government that does not obey its constitution is an illegitimate government. We are seeing this in all levels of government today, including our courts. If our courts no longer will defend our constitution, where are the people to turn? Asterisk. 10. Conclusion. This case is a simple rights versus privileges case. The statute petitioner was prosecuted under the South Carolina Code of Laws Motor Vehicle Statute clearly states that it is granting a privilege. Numerous United States Supreme Court decisions have affirmed that the right to travel is a fundamental right, constitutionally protected, and that states cannot convert these rights to privileges nor make the exercise of a constitutional right a crime. In light of the case that is the subject of this petition and the other cases that have been just mentioned, it is apparent that the state of South Carolina is engaged in the systematic deprivation of rights under color of law. Therefore, the Supreme Court needs to review this case and reaffirm the principle that rights cannot be converted to privileges, and the exercise thereof cannot be made a crime. The petitioner requests that the court grant the petition for writ of certiorari. Respectfully submitted. John Dallin, 108.
all right. All right, all right. Okay, so this is what he had filed. All right. Now, obviously, for this particular person's privacy, even though it is on the public side, this document can be found on the internet. So look up your own Supreme Court cases. Do not reach out to the person. That's why I cut it off. I don't want to show like his particular address, whatever else. So even though it is on the public side, do not reach out to that person and bother them with questions and whatever else. All the information is available on the internet. All right. So as always, everything here is provided as education, entertainment purposes, but there you have it. So once again, just a little breakdown on right to travel. The Supreme Court has already ruled on these things. That's why I was able to name all those court cases and things. They're not going to re-rule on it. They're like, it's been decided. It's done. Federal court will rule on it. State court, city, they're going to be like, well, we don't understand that. We don't have to abide by that. So you got to go to federal court. I will tell you off the top of my head, I know, well, time frame is spread out, but one guy in Florida, $404,000. Two other states recently, 1.4 million, and the other one, $500,000 in their lawsuits and won. Federal court, just like I told them to do. So that's basically about it, guys. Yeah, right to travel. It's a real thing, but you have to do it the proper way. Take care, guys. Talk to you guys later.